Guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do Vampirella Bloodlust by James Robinson and Joe Jusko from Harris Comics. This is a book from 1997. If you got this and you read it and you immediately think, what the hell is going on? So it seems that this is some kind of an in-between book. There's two issues. I have all two of them. And so I read this. I have zero clue what's going on. So I did some digging, some background research that I just, discovered that Vampirella died in a miniseries called Vampirella Death and Destruction. She was killed by Mistress Nyx, some kind of a agent of chaos female or something like that. She was impaled by a trident or a spear, and then she is now ending up in hell. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. And then after this, it's going to get continued in Vampirella Lives. I believe also from 1997, 1998. Don't quote me on that. So, if you have zero books of Vampirella and you got this because you like the art, and let me tell you, the art is stunning. Joe Jusko did a lot of work back in the day. He did Marvel Masterworks, among other things. Did a lot of covers. He's a great, fantastic artist, painted artist. And so this is more like an in-between book, a little bit of a mini story. It's not really that important in hindsight, but I didn't know that at the time, so I just bought it, right? I have only one issue, and I said, okay, but I cannot continue read it because I don't have the other. So luckily I got all two of them, and then I read it today, and I said, yeah, okay. So story's not really going nowhere, but if you are a Vampirella fan, there's a lot of lore in here. Lore I didn't even know, and I just pick up some old school Vampirella just once in a while because I like the character, but it's not something that I really need in my collection or something. Just I like the the older Vampirella books, not the newer one. They're trash in my opinion. Anyway, so let's see where this is going, right? So we can start here. It began as a love story of a vampiress and a man, Vampirella and Adam van Helsing, and the life they shared. Then it ended. First Adam, then Vampirella were brutally murdered at the hands of Mistress Nyx. But the story wasn't finished. Vampirella was reborn with a new mission: to hunt down all vampires, to kill her brothers and sisters and atone for their evil. This chapter takes place between Vampirella's death and rebirth. It is a story of a mother and a daughter and a lover. A story of the choice between forbidden love and duty. A story of a vampire learning to be human. It is Bloodlust. All right. So this is, after she died and she is going to hell. And she wakes up and she says that voice, Adam, I thought you died. Where am I? She says. He says, take a look. And she looks. She's on Draculon. She's home. Now, I must say, if you are, like Fist of the North Star, like I am, this guy looks a little bit like Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. Super awesome. Anyway, so this guy's eyes are bleeding the whole time. I'm not sure that's what happened in the, where he died, in the Death of Destruction books. She says, this is Draculon, and this is hell. One and the same. Draculon, the world you knew, is an area of hell. And your mother, Lilith, is the ruler. But Draculon, my memory is not like this. Where's the mighty river of blood that gave this land its life? Everything's so dry, so old and broken. The land is dying, Vampirella. Draculon dying? I don't understand. And why are you here? In Draculon, in hell? He says, I cannot explain it. And but she loves this man, right? And but he ignores that. He says, let's get going because, oh no, they're being attacked by foragers. So it seems that the peaceful people of this land are being very desperate because the blood, their lifeblood, because this world is full of vampires, that's the land. So they kill everyone inside because, well, the rivers are not flowing anymore of blood. So the only way they can get blood is to kill people. Anyway, so he says, They've seen us. It's fight or die. And then, I mean, look at this. Isn't that super cool? Man. Anyway. I mean, I could look at these pretty pictures all day, man. Well, I like this panel, him jumping down and this, well, he's not poor guy, but still he's, yeah. And so he kills this one, and Vampirella jumps on this creature and attacks the other one, right? And then she jumps towards this guy, rips his face off. I like her savage side. And she also acknowledged that a little bit later here, right? And Adam is dealing with the other ones. They're dead. Super cool. And he says, Vampirella, are you all right? And she says, yeah. Damn, too much light in here. She says, I'm all right. And so he explains that this beast tastes like chicken. He says, are you going to try some? No, I have the blood of the forest just to sustain me, she says. I'm a little bit scared. The battle, I was more savage, more wild. I never felt that before. I was hungrier too. I couldn't wait to drink the blood of my enemies. That worries you? Yeah, and the lights. So she's feeling that she is more savage now. Maybe because of the land that she's now returning home. Or maybe something here, enhances her hunger. I'm not entirely sure. He says, perhaps your death and return to hell changed you. Yeah, I just said that, Adam. My death changed me, I know. The man who walked the earth could never have fought those raiders like I did. But as the change in your people, that has nothing to do with your passing, no. For that you can blame your mother. Lilith, she says. That's right, mother of all vampires. When she betrayed her father, the almighty father, she was sent to hell. And they are talking about God. Hell, she says. Yeah, and there are still parts of us where the fallen angel's sweet sad wail of the laments that still can be heard. So, yeah, so he's talking about that, this is part of hell, but also a little bit part of heaven. Anyway, he talks about different kinds of land and that the hell is always shifting, always changing, right? But in one secure area of hell, Lilith made her home and fashioned it into the land you knew, Draculon. The land's mighty rivers actually as how do you say that? Tributary of the river Styx when it's flowed. All right, look at this. So he talks about that this world is dying and there was a war, right? Basically it became between war of God and, the hellspawn. When he saw the Lilith begun, her power began to wane, and so did the land. Perhaps the river fed Lilith's life force, perhaps Lilith feeds the river. The fact remains there is no longer the energy for them to both exist. Lilith chose her own life over that of a world. The river dried. But it also has a cost for the inhabitants because they are, need the river to flow. Otherwise they would die. But, Lilith chose to, look after herself. So I think, okay, she is the big bad baddie in the story, right? Yeah, well, not really. I mean, she is the baddie, but she's also not bad. Also, she is the queen of monsters, Lilith, from the Bible, I guess. And she says, how could mother be so selfish? How could she be... She wanted good. She sent me to earth as an agent of atonement for her past sins. And then the choice became to live or let live. She chose to save herself. Many would have. And so Adam says, I have a purpose here, and you must aid me, right? So basically they need to bring the blood back to Draculon. Why? I do not know. I mean, what does it matter if the blood is flowing or not? I mean, it's good for the inhabitants, I guess, but why is it important to Adam? Anyway, so, but who gave you this task? You're a good man. Why you are in hell? It's also confusing. I'll explain now. I explain, not now, but soon. Yes, he's a little bit mysterious. So she has to think about that, right? She says, I need to take time. Yes, this lion is dying. The people need the blood to flow anew. Yes, but Lilith is still my mother. All right. Yeah, that's true. And then we go to Lilith, and Lilith is gorgeous, by the way. Everything is gorgeous. Look at this, this structure with all the skulls. And this is part of Eden. And Lilith is lying here, right? A piece of paradise. But the land is weak, and she is only sustaining herself and a little bit piece of this land and her, inhabitants that still lives here, her soldiers, I guess, right? And she, a ghost of paradise, lost was all she had left. So this a lot of skulls. So these guys says, Mother Lilith, it's your daughter. I have many daughters, she says. I speak of Vampirella, she is back here. In my garden, bring her to me. No, I meant she has returned to Draculon. She is with Van Helsing. Van Helsing? She's with the White Light? No, that would be too cruel, even for my father. Even my father couldn't be that cruel. So she thinks. So she says, bring her to me. I need to speak to her. I need to explain. But also kill, Adam Van Helsing. All right? She closes her eyes and sleeps. Once she didn't sleep for millennia at a time. Once, now she slumbers often. Look at this. And she says, this was my city, my home. You mean this was Lilith's original home? No, when I came to Earth, I knew nothing of her. I thought Draculon was a planet far off in space. Yeah, I thought that too, but probably that was a lie. A planet of vampires whom blood ran like water and life was good. When I first arrived on Earth, I had memories, false memories given to me by Lilith, I suppose. I had a mother and a father, a brother too, I think, but then it all became a little bit hazy. But she was sure that this was the city that she lived in. I'm sorry, Vampirella. I am too. Even if they are false, they are still sweet warmth in my heart. Damn, it looks so good. But she says, hey, you know a lot about Draculon. How's that possible? You come from Earth. How could you know this? And he says, the city, it was called Quebecan, a city of 10,000 souls. Last year, the final few of them died. Talks about starvation, man against women, family against family. Now there is no one. Not quite, Van Helsing, a voice says suddenly. Not quite. Well, look at this. Isn't this cool? A group of vampires. It says, ha! We are the minions of Lilith, our empress and our mother. You must come with us, Vampirella. Your mother will have words with you. And then, okay, they throw some net over Van Helsing, so he's a little bit incapacitated. Yeah, that's probably the words. But, Vampirella comes to his aid. And she says, if you are just obeying orders, then I don't want to hurt you. But it says, it's us. You might hurt you, Vampirella, if you resist any further. And says, you must return with us. And she says, you were warned to keep away. You were warned. So I fought some big battle. Well, there is a battle, but we don't see it. Basically, we only see the aftermath. But I must admit, this is probably the best page in this whole comic. I mean, all of the pages looks great, by the way. But look at this beautiful piece of art. So she killed them all without breaking any sweat. Dude. And she says, I have decided. This attack or seeing the city, I remember now whittled to a husk. One or the other has helped me decide. I'll go with you. Are you sure? I don't want you to do something rashly in the heat of battle and then regret it later. Like I said earlier, Lilith is sustaining her life force by keeping the river dry. If the river flows, Lilith will die. I love my mother deeply, but I love my homeland more. I can't see it perish. I simply can't. We go on. We have to. We see it through. And Draculon will live again. That leads us to the next issue, of course. Look at this, from pencils to painted. There's more? Yeah, there's more. Anyway, so what do I think about it? The story is not that really fantastic. It's pretty simple, Lilith here is not, although she is the mother of monsters, doesn't come over as cruel or completely evil. She just wants to live, right? Because, God was fighting against her and she used all her power to to survive, and her powers is basically sustaining Draculon. But now, because she's now weak, she uses all the blood to herself, and only this particular piece of land is now safe for the rest of the world. But then, it seems that, I guess, Van Helsing is on a mission of God, I guess, letting the rivers flow, letting the rivers of Styx flow again, or something like that. Still, I don't know or why that is really important. I mean, who cares, right? Or something like that. Why? I mean, I from Vampirella's perspective, I can see it, right? Because it was once upon a time her home and her people, her brothers and sisters trying to live here. But now, it's dry and there's nothing here anymore. So from her perspective, I can see it, but I don't know Adam's mission. Anyway, maybe we're gonna find out in the next one or not. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Is this something that you would read? I mean, to be honest, personal, for only the art alone, I think this is worth it. For the story, yeah, not so much. But it has fantastic art. I mean, and Joe Jusko is not doing so much. Is he still alive, by the way? I don't know. But we don't see much of Joe Jusko anymore. So if you want to, have some really cool art, like back in the day, this is the book for you. It's a pretty picture book, to be honest. And it has some cool, nice looking, half-naked Vampirella. Yeah. Anyway, classic Vampirella. Nice. See you next time, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.